You're listening to the Loving Your Own Soul podcast, and I'm your host, Britt. Guided by my own intuition, my intention is to deliver genuine conversations centered around health and wellness, spirituality, self-expression, and culture. In this space, I will provide you with real-life stories, theories, and inspiring perspectives to help you uncover and tap into your own true potential. I'm so grateful you've chosen to tune in with me on this mindful exploration to living a more fluid life through a deeper connection to the soul. Now let's dive into today's journey. Welcome to the Loving Your Own Soul Weekly Digest. If you're new around here, I'm Britt, and I'm so grateful to have you here. Every Thursday, I will digest and decode a different health and wellness, spiritual, trending, or cultural topic so that you can better understand and feel more on trend in the ever-changing world we live in. Now, this week, I will be giving you the download on the myths behind dairy. I'm excited for this one. Now, as always, please do not forget that I do not claim to be an expert in any of these areas. Our weekly digest episodes simply stem from theories, research from qualified field professionals, and my own findings and opinions on the areas we discuss. For any specific questions or topics you'd like to see on here, definitely feel free to connect with me on Instagram, shoot me a DM at Loving Your Own Soul, and please just always remember to do your own research. It's important. Always follow your intuition, that inner voice, and yeah, you do you. Now, let's dive into dairy, which is quite a hot topic, as I'm sure, by now you've probably seen me or someone else on Instagram talking about dairy-free recipes, living the dairy-free life, etc. However, you may not understand the why or a lot of the myths behind dairy and what we've been really misinformed of our whole lives. And now this also goes just far beyond the lactose intolerant crew and really just into our bodies as a whole. Now, one thing I do just want to kind of start with is removing dairy from our diets is not a trend. It's really just as simple as this. So you can listen to this and then stop the episode and you'll be good if you want to, but we are the only mammals that continue to consume milk after birth or a certain age in our lives. On top of that, we are the only mammals that consume another mammal's milk, and we consume it on a regular basis. Now, please remember that throughout this episode, I'm talking about dairy, not calcium. We all need calcium, but there's actually more calcium in certain foods than in a cup of milk, such as broccoli, leafy greens, seeds, beans, lentils, figs, and same goes for vitamin D. Calcium and vitamin D are crucial nutrients, but your most optimal forms of them are not actually found in dairy. Dairy advertisers, much like meat advertisers, do not necessarily have consumer welfare at heart. There have been several dairy campaigns throughout the years, but none of them really have our best interest in mind. They're only interested in making money off of these advertisements, trying to turn a profit, such as the Got Milk commercials. I'm sure you're familiar with the celebrity or the pro athlete promoting milk with the white mustache on. These advertisements were funded by the dairy industry to sell more milk, not because it actually benefited the individuals as athletes or celebrity figures. In fact, I could almost guarantee you that those individuals were not actually consuming milk, especially after exercising, as if anyone actually did that, it would really do more harm than good in the long term. This campaign was truly just the dairy industry's attempt to make drinking milk look cool and in turn turn a profit. I'm sure, especially today, we are all widely aware of the power of influence of individuals. So you can really kind of consider the Got Milk campaigns your 90s and early 2000s Instagram influencers, if you will. And the thing is this campaign worked. I'm sure if you're listening, you've heard of it. You're picturing an advertisement that you've seen before. It was widely popular, and celebrities actually would wait their turn to show off that white mustache and have their image, plastered on a poster or TV or whatever, posing that question, got milk. because they all got a lot of publicity from it. It was a huge campaign. What's interesting though is the dairy industry also focused on chocolate milk with this campaign, and they marketed it to those who would work out with the got chocolate milk, kind of where all the athletes come in. But this campaign was really just telling athletes and children that chocolate milk is good for you. The sugar-filled, whey-rich, casein chocolate milk is good for you. It was this, it's just so, I don't know, it's just so crazy to me. And even in this, the Got Chocolate Milk campaign, we were actually told that low-fat chocolate milk was what athletes needed to recover after a hard workout. That it was this ideal way to help athletes refuel and rebuild, and it had this high quality protein that was shown to repair and build muscles. And it's just ridiculous because there's zero fact behind it. If you actually wanted to refuel and do best by your body, you would make a whole food, super rich green smoothie rather than this mucusy filled concoction that's just high fructose corn syrup and artificial flavoring and hormones and who knows what else. It just blows my mind if you take a second to actually think about it. And I'm in the same boat. I'd see these campaigns and I wouldn't even think twice. But if you pause and look at it, it's oh, right. There's no way that would be good for me. And I mean, milk after a workout, ooh, makes me want to throw up. Now, what's interesting is many, many, many Americans, including some vegetarians, will still consume so much dairy. It's crazy. And government policies still promote these products despite all the scientific evidence that really questions the health benefits and indicates all the potential health risks, which we're going to get into, behind dairy. I mean, it's even marketed as this essential food for strong bones, which is the furthest thing from the truth. Now, as we get into some of this, please keep in mind that we are all bio-individual. So this isn't to say everyone's body can't handle dairy, although I would argue none of our bodies truly need it. But some studies have shown that those with a type B blood type are actually the most suitable to be able to digest dairy in limited amounts, while all other blood types should really just steer clear. But please note that to that point as well, I have personally worked with several type B blood types who also benefited immensely without dairy. It just really depends on you, the individual. So let's jump into what dairy actually does to the body, because there is so much. It is, first and foremost, it is the leading cause of so many diseases, which are all triggered by the same thing: too much inflammation in the body. This is not a new subject matter. Inflammation is the leading root cause of all disease, and dairy is one of the most highly inflammatory substances out there. Now, when you think of dairy and your body, you can think of dirty pipes. So clean pipes, everything flows through, it filters out, it goes to where it's supposed to be going. Dirty pipes, things get clogged, things get stuck, buildup continues and continues, and it's the same thing with your body. So dairy creates a mucus inside of our bodies that later turns into this disease down the road. Reasoning behind why it's so highly inflammatory. And inflammation is the leading cause of headaches and digestion distress, indigestion, constipation, diarrhea, painful periods, hormone imbalance, low immunity, brain fog, acne. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. But dairy feeds the pathogens inside of us, as it is highly mucus forming, causing the mucus to collect within our blood vessels and around our livers, thus creating sluggish and fatty livers, which are the leading cause of so many issues. Now, cheese, in addition to processed meat, is actually the ultimate diabetes-creating substance. However, it is often marketed as something that is a good food for diabetics, which is so wrong because it actually makes it so much worse. So milk and other dairy products, and we'll get into other dairy products, I'm just using milk because it's kind of an easy one to say. So milk is the top source of saturated fat in the American diet. which contributes to heart disease, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's, and studies have also linked dairy to an increased risk of breast, ovarian, and prostate cancers, which we'll jump into some details on that here in a second. So like I said, dairy is so much more than just milk. Dairy is cheese, it's in yogurt, butter, creams, chocolate, crackers, processed meats, most salad dressings, unless they're labeled dairy-free. So many more things have dairy in them, so be careful and read your labels and know where your ingredients are being sourced from. Now, most of us, and I've been there before, if anything, I'm still there, most of us feel that we can't live without dairy. Whether that looks like cream and coffee, yogurt, cheese, whey protein powder, milk and cereal, ice cream, that's because dairy has this chemical called casein, which is found in literally every dairy product that triggers the brain's opioid receptors. So it makes dairy just as addictive as many substances. So if you've ever wondered why it feels nearly impossible to give up that piece of cheese or ice cream, that's because the chemicals create addictive reactions within our brains, which then cause the same effects as one trying to give up a previously abused substance to trying to cut out dairy from the diet. Food addiction is a very real thing, especially as it pertains to dairy. And dairy makes life extremely challenging because it bogs down the liver, which prevents toxins from leaving the body, which stresses the pancreas, causing a heightened insulin resistance. We talked about diabetes just before this. Again, think of those dirty pipes. And what's interesting is for those sensitive to dairy is it can actually cause malabsorption problems, which is trouble absorbing nutrients in foods because the digestive tract is inflamed. And for many who have a heightened allergic response to any environmental stimulus like dust or pollen are also really sensitive here as well. Now, research has linked the high fat content and hormones in milk, cheese, and other dairy products directly to breast cancer. A study in 2017 that was funded by the National Cancer Institute compared the diets of women diagnosed with breast cancer to those without breast cancer, and it found that those who consumed the most American cheddar, cream cheese, blah, 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 had a 53% higher risk for breast cancer. Another study done by the Life After Cancer Epidemiology found that among women previously diagnosed with breast cancer, those consuming one or more servings of high-fat dairy product, again, your cheese, ice cream, whole milk, on a daily basis had a 49% higher breast cancer mortality rate compared to those consuming less than 1/2 serving daily. And research funded by the National Cancer Institute, National Institute of Health, and then the World Cancer Research Fund also found that women who consumed a 1/4 cup to a 1/3 cup of cow's milk per day had a 30% increased chance for breast cancer. 1 cup per day increased the risk by 50%, and 2 to 3 cups were associated with an 80% increased chance of breast cancer. Oh, it breaks my heart. But these statistics, I mean, they're so hard to hear, but they're so fascinating though. And of course, I think I mentioned this earlier, but regular consumption of dairy products has also been linked to prostate cancer. So all you men out there, you're not getting off easy either. Now, what is interesting is radical things will also happen to those who remove dairy from their diet, and it happens so quickly, which is just so much proof of what the substance does to us physically. Even someone who has achy joints or severe muscle stiffness will remove dairy and feel relief getting out of bed in just as little as 5 to 7 days. And same goes for the brain fog, suddenly lifting, better moods, a hormone balance, less painful periods, and even reversal of many diseases. It's wild. But all in all, I really do not want to scare you here today. I just want to inform you as to just kind of, the myths behind what we've been told about dairy, what it actually does to our body, so that you can have proper information to move forward and feel empowered as you're making your selections around food and what you elect to put in your body. Now, do your research, trust your intuition. I know you hear me say that all the time. And most importantly, honor yourself as an individual with individual needs. If you feel that dairy is good for you, I would also just ask you to take a moment and think about the how and where you learned this information. Thank you so much for tuning in here today. That is all I've got for you, and I look forward to continuing the journey with you again soon.